This is the News 4 Rundown.
Good evening and welcome to the News 4 Rundown. I'm Sean Yancey. It is Tuesday, March 17th. Here's a look at some of the stories we're following for you tonight. We all know traffic in D.C. can be a nightmare, but are autonomous vehicles the answer to our problems? The steps being taken right now to make self-driving cars more regular in the district. Plus, as St. Patrick's Day winds down, we're taking a look inside one of the oldest and largest parades in the nation, and we'll tell you a little bit more about the history of this holiday. Plus, an on-field celebration turned into a lesson in a new sport for Commanders defensive end Dietrich Wise Jr. What he learned when he stepped into a whole new arena. We begin tonight, though, with an update on 3 separate shootings that happened overnight on the Beltway in Prince George's County. Maryland State Police told us they have a person of interest now in custody. Police say a car was hit by gunfire last night around 10:30 on Maryland Route 5 at Allentown Road. It happened again right before 10:50 on the ramp from northbound Route 5 to the outer loop of the Beltway. No one was hurt in either of those shootings, but someone was hurt in the third shooting. That one happened around 1:30 this morning at the Beltway and Ardwick-Ardmore Road. News 4's Mauricio Casillas has the latest developments.
Well, Maryland State Police say it was near here southbound on 495 where a driver says he was struck by a bullet, injuring him. That driver was able to drive themselves to the hospital for treatment. And again, Maryland State Police still believe that one person is responsible for all 3 of those shootings. Now, take a look at your screen. Police have released some surveillance images, which they believe could be the gunman. It's worth noting, at this point, it's unclear if the person in these pictures is the person of interest that police now have in custody. It's tough to make out, but they say he was last seen wearing a dark sweatshirt and light-colored pants. They believe the vehicle is possibly a red or burgundy Dodge Challenger or Charger. We're told crime scene technicians from the Maryland State Police Forensic Sciences Division responded to all 3 locations to process the scenes for evidence. Prince George's County Police are also helping out. Again, only one person was injured. The extent of their injuries unclear tonight, but police say that, again, they were able to drive themselves to the hospital. Now, we don't know at this point why this person was shooting in the first place. Investigators not saying if this was road rage or anything like that, and it's that mystery that has so many people concerned by what's been happening. So again, police do have a person of interest in custody. It's not clear if that person of interest is the same person seen in those surveillance images that have been released. But if you have any information about these shootings or maybe about that vehicle that are in those surveillance images, you're asked to reach out to Maryland State Police. Reporting in Prince George's County, Mauricio Casillas, News 4.
Now to a disturbing and frightening scene that was all caught on camera in the district. The sound and sights of rapid gunfire pierced the night silence Saturday on East Capitol Street. According to police, roughly 90 shots were fired. Investigators believe there were 4 different shooters with 4 different weapons, including a rifle. The Hill Rag was the first to report this story. Remarkably, no one was hurt, but that's still not enough to ease the fears of people who live in this community. News 4's Paul Wagner has the latest.
Good evening. Neighbors that I was speaking with today told me that they were rattled, scared, frightened by this gunfire Saturday night. I'm in Canes Way. It's an alley between East Capitol Street and A Street Southeast. Take a look at this. This is just some of the damage from the gunfire Saturday night hitting this BMW multiple times. D.C. police say 91 shell casings were found back in this alley, some of it from rifle fire. Neighbors say it's just a miracle that no one was killed.
The video begins with as many as 2 people walking through the alley before you hear the gunfire. Voices can be heard, and then more gunfire. Before a car speeds out of the alley and heads for the 1500 block of A Street Southeast. D.C. police say it's unclear who was targeting who, but for a few seconds, the gunfire stops and then starts again. When the gunfire finally ended, 2 more cars leave the alley. One heads for A Street, and the other speeds off towards East Capitol Street. 3 days later, the damage from the gunfire is still there for anyone to see. 2 cars hit by multiple rounds. At the charter school adjacent to the alley, 2 windows were damaged by the gunfire, And the one round that incredibly did not kill or wound anyone went through the wall in the back of this house and lodged in a child's bunk bed.
Everybody is scared, especially with the heightened things we've seen with the police presence as well as the National Guard. I feel like people was feeling like a sense of things were changing. It was rougher than what it is, but it's a weird time to be experiencing all this, and I think that the neighbors are just trying to get through it together and transition.
Many people in this neighborhood heard the gunfire Saturday night, including Jody Kent, who would like to see a better plan for reducing gun violence in the city.
The tools that are being used here are not working, and that's why we continue to have incidents like we did on Saturday night, and even worse incidents, in other neighborhoods nearby. So collectively, we need to, as a community, demand tools that work.
One other note. In the video, after the gunfire has stopped and the last car speeds out of the alley, there are oddly 3 more shots.
This is the charter school that was hit by the gunfire Saturday night. I also spoke with a family whose child's bedroom was hit by the gunfire, one of the bullets going into the side of the child's bunk bed. That family told me that they're so rattled, so scared by what happened here Saturday night that they want to move, and they've been living here for 15 years. On Capitol Hill, Paul Wagner, News 4.
Here's a look at some of the other top stories we're following today. D.C. Water turned off the pumps that had been diverting raw sewage into the C&O Canal and reopened the now repaired underground pipeline that collapsed back in January. Recreation restrictions were lifted in Virginia and in the district in several areas downstream of the spill in the Potomac. But Montgomery County, Maryland still has restrictions in place. They're reminding people to avoid contact with the river near the spill site. Montgomery County Public Schools adjusted their academic calendar for the remainder of this school year. Winter weather forced schools to close multiple times. The school district has had to make up those days by adding some other days to the end of the year. The last day of school is now set for June 26th. Parents will be notified again about the changes before spring break. Drivers in Prince George's County could face stiffer penalties if they don't pay their speeding tickets within 90 days. Under a new bill, drivers with 3 or more overdue citations along Route 210 in Prince George's County, or who have at least $500 in unpaid penalties, would face having their registration suspended and their cars impounded. Well, you might notice a unique vehicle driving through Alexandria neighborhoods. This white Ford SUV is designed to check road conditions in real time. It's part of a pilot program aimed at helping the city stay ahead of repairs and improve safety. The vehicle will focus on the west end of Old Town. City leaders said any images collected will automatically blur faces and license plates to protect your privacy. Well, as self-driving taxis like Waymo cars continue to be tested on D.C. streets, there's a movement right now pushing to allow those vehicles to pick up people and take them for rides. News 4 has learned that DDOT is now restarting a study to potentially give the vehicles a green light. Transportation reporter Adam Tuss has the details from Northwest.
Well, self-driving vehicles, why are they not here on the streets of the district just yet? It has been a point of contention with some of these autonomous vehicle companies and the district itself, but an important step may have just been taken forward.
Let's go ahead and start ride.
Hopping in a self-driving taxi? Well, some commuters still need convincing.
I think it's getting there, but they don't have my full trust yet.
I think they obviously have the technology to be able to read the surroundings. I just don't know if I trust the reaction time yet.
There is hope, though, for those who do want to ride in a robo-taxi. DDOT sending us this statement talking about a critical report to allow the vehicles on streets, saying the District Department of Transportation has resumed work on the report following a pause in fiscal year 2025 that resulted from federal funding reductions. Safety remains our highest priority, and we're committed to thoroughly evaluating emerging technologies that have significant implications for the traveling public. Now, through a Freedom of Information Act portal, the News 4 I-team found that last year, DDOT was actively providing Mayor Bowser multiple options for how this program could be rolled out when all of a sudden the brakes were put on. At an autonomous vehicle forum in the district, the head of Amazon's self-driving robotaxi called Zoox offered some more insight.
Right now, every sort of community or city or state has its set of rules, and we've been working very closely with the District of Columbia to earn the opportunity to be deploying vehicles like this.
Federal officials have noted they won't hesitate to step in if safety is a concern with these vehicles.
And if we see something that is going to be providing an unreasonable risk to safety that could create a crash or result in injury in the event of a crash, we're going to use our oversight. And we haven't been shy in using that. We're not going to be shy doing that going forward either.
As for Waymo, that company had hoped to be picking up passengers this year in D.C., but there's still no timeline for any rollout. We should note that Waymo is already operating in major cities like L.A., Phoenix, the Bay Area, Austin, and Atlanta, among others. In the district, Adam Tuss, News 4.
D.C. Councilmember Charles Allen chairs the council's Transportation and Environment Committee. He told us he believes self-driving robo-taxis will be operating on D.C. streets. Well, the News 4 Rundown will be right back. But first, let's get a check-in with Storm Team 4 Chief Meteorologist Doug Kammerer. Hey, Doug.
Yeah, we saw a cold day across the area today, staying cold tomorrow. The warmth, actually the heat, well back toward the south and west. I'll show you when we at least see some warmer air later this week coming up.
Coming up, colonoscopies can be intimidating, but they're critical in cancer prevention. That's why we're working for you. What you need to know and when you need to get screened. Next on News 4.
Hundreds of thousands of people braved the cold today for a 265-year-old tradition, the New York City St. Patrick's Day Parade. As the green took over Midtown Manhattan, Sarah Wallace from our sister station in New York shows us this long-running tradition.
As always, the St. Patrick's Day Parade kicks off with a moving sight, the Fighting 69th Infantry Regiment. Amazing to think New York St. Patrick's Day Parade, started in 1762, is older than the United States and the biggest anywhere. So, of course, visitors from the Emerald Isle love heading to the Manhattan Isle.
You guys do it bigger than we do, way better than you do.
Has this been on your bucket list for 58 years?
Yeah. Always, since I was a wee boy, I always wanted to come to New York for St. Patrick's Day.
Another interesting tradition. This parade, as you can see, has no floats, no vehicles, no balloons.
Just plenty of Irish pride on display, embraced by visitors here from all over.
Tell me where you're
world.
from.
I'm from Spain.
What do you think of this?
It's so amazing.
The marching band's always a highlight. This aspiring musician watching her sister play with the group from Jackson Township.
So what do you play?
Saxophone.
Saxophone. So you think you might be marching next year?
Yeah, definitely will be. We'll be back for her to do it again.
Okay. What's your name?
Ariana.
Last name?
Lee.
A hushed moment for the 343 tribute in honor of all of the firefighters who died on 9/11. New York's new Archbishop grateful to become a part.
Everyone promised that today was going to be big and special, and I've never seen anything like it, and it's living up to the hype. This is extraordinary. People coming together with celebration, goodwill, with faith.
All right, well, Doug is back from vacation just in time because a lot of people have questions about the weather, you know, what we were supposed to get versus what we thought we were going to get. What happened there?
Yeah, we had the severe weather yesterday. Right. We did not get the tornadoes, and there was a pretty big tornado threat as we were looking at. Storm Prediction Center telling us, hey, we have a good chance of tornadoes in our region, and they could be strong, but we didn't see any. We saw a few tornado warnings yesterday, about 9 or 10 warnings, but so far, no confirmed tornadoes in our area. This was the storms coming through, line after line of storms. There's one line coming through in the middle part of the day, another line later in the evening. This line right here, this was the one that brought 60 to 70 mile-an-hour winds around the area. But why didn't we see the tornado threat? Well, this was the line. This is 11 a.m. on our Monday. This was the line back to the west that had some tornado warnings with it into Loudoun County and Montgomery County. Amelia Draper was live on Channel 4 yesterday with that, showing the tornado warnings back that way. Now, notice this area. You've got some rain, you've got some storms, and you've got a lot of cloud cover. This area of rain, if this wasn't here and we saw some sunshine, that would have allowed this area to be a lot more unstable and a lot stronger as far as the storms were concerned. That's one reason this line right here just kind of took out some of the energy in the atmosphere and did not allow that to become strong. But we did see, look at this, dozens and dozens. Every one of these little bubbles here is a wind report across our area. We saw the next line come through with winds of 68 miles per hour at the airport. Dulles coming in at 66 miles an hour. So we did see a lot of severe weather, but it was not as severe as what could have been. That's actually a good thing. We don't want to see tornadoes in our area. For us today, we actually saw some sunshine, but boy, did it bring in much colder air. Some of you saw snow last night. 38 degrees outside right now. Look at that wind chill. 28. It is a cold night. Wind still upwards of 20, 25 miles an hour. Current temperatures in the low 30s in most areas. Now upper 30s to around 40 down to the south. 37 Manassas, 34 right now in Leesburg. Gaithersburg at 34, but a cold evening. A couple of sprinkles down south. Yeah, we even saw a couple of flurries to the north, but for the most part, most of us stayed on the dry side and didn't see much in the way of moisture. We have some snow up toward the north, even some snow squall warnings. That's that blue box into Pennsylvania. They're still seeing some good snow, but all this tells us is we've got the cold air, and it's going to stick around as we move on through the night tonight. By 11, we're all below freezing, so any of that rain that is out there, that wet roads are out there, some of which are still out there right now, could see some frozen roads early tomorrow morning. Not a lot of them. There's not a lot of that moisture left, a lot of that water left, but just heads up. Tomorrow morning, everybody below freezing. We've got cloud cover. That means a very cold start to our Wednesday. And look at lunchtime. I mean, only in the 30s, and we're talking low to mid 30s at lunch. So a very chilly day on our Wednesday, a high of 42, 54 on Thursday, getting better, much nicer on Friday. A fantastic Friday, a high of 61 with sunshine. An early shower possible Saturday, but most of the day looks great, and most of Sunday looks great, a high of 74. A chance of rain after about 5 o'clock before we see cooler weather move in for next week. But again, the weekend looking pretty good.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Doug. All right, would you know when to get a colonoscopy, and how often do you need to have one? 1 in 3 people surveyed actually got the answer wrong. An Yang is here now to break down what you need to know for your health.
Colonoscopy confusion may be driving missed cancer screenings. According to a new survey from MedStar Health, 77% of people don't know when to get their first colonoscopy, and 33% of people eligible say they've skipped a screening. Those delayed screenings are the reason why we've seen an alarming rise in colorectal cancer cases among adults under 50. I spoke to Dr. Stephen Wexner of MedStar Health to clear up some common misconceptions and talk about the fear that often keeps people from seeing their doctor.
Common misconceptions include the fact that if someone doesn't have risk factors, they really don't need to get screened, or if they don't have symptoms, they don't need to get screened. And sadly, both of those misconceptions can be deadly. We are seeing more and more people, particularly under the age of 50, not only getting colorectal cancer, but dying of it. It's now the number one cause of cancer death in patients under age 50. Many of those patients have no family history and have no symptoms.
And can we go over again? The correct age for when to get your first colonoscopy is 45, no matter what, unless you have a family history.
It is very important that people understand screening begins at age 45. A family history should prompt screening at an earlier age, generally 10 years younger than the youngest first-degree relative, so parent, sibling, child, who develop colorectal cancer.
And then how often should you get checked?
Depends on the findings. Great question. If the colon has no polyps, you could wait somewhere 5 to 10 years.
And we know colonoscopies can save lives, but there is a lot of fear and misinformation surrounding the screenings. What is your message to people when it comes to colonoscopies and screenings?
Sure, it's scary. Nobody wants to undergo a bowel prep and anesthesia, but having a cancer is scarier. The colonoscopy is over and done, and from the time you leave your house till you come home, perhaps 4 hours. Cancer, it's for the rest of your life. It's going to be lingering over your head. That it may come back, and you're going to keep getting tested and keep getting screened. So I think Benjamin Franklin said it best along the lines of an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
Dr. Wexner, thanks so much for joining us with that important information. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me with you.
Thank you.
All right, stick around. News 4, The Rundown. We'll be right back. Here's a look at what's coming up after the break.
Why on earth do we have a picture of Commanders defensive lineman Dietrich Wise wearing a Patriots jersey and some fencing? We'll explain as News 4 rolls on.
Finally tonight, football is not Commander defensive end Dietrich Wise Jr.'s only athletic talent. Team insider J.P. Finley takes us from football to fencing.
When the Commanders signed Dietrich Wise away from the New England Patriots, they were hoping to get a lot of that. That is Wise sacking Aaron Rodgers, Jets quarterback, when Wise was on the Pats. You'll notice that little move. That's his signature sack celebration where he does some fencing. That's not the only kind of fencing Wise is into. Check this out. This is Dietrich Wise, NFL defensive lineman, going up against Notre Dame's Michaela Joyce, a DMV native and a college fencer. We all learned a lot.
My sack celebration is a fencing move. I draw the sword, and then I do a lunge.
This is where everything starts, from this position.
I met the right person to let me know that, hey, their daughter did it.
Good. The legs are really good, but make sure your arm gets out first.
Got you. And they kind of want me to come to this gym to, like, do it again with them.
When's the last time you fenced?
7th grade.
You're about to go fence a collegiate fencer. I mean, your opponent is
an Olympian.
Yeah, this is a legitimate opponent.
Yeah. I really want to know, is this going to be like I'm like out of my league here, or if I can like hang?
I'm a little scared. I'm gonna tell you guys.
I think he's scared of you, if it helps.
Well, we'll just be scared of each other.
On guard.
Ready?
Yep. It's some good cardio, I'll put it that way, but it's like mental and physical cardio. It's really exciting.
Nice. Got it.
I think you let me win now. Appreciate it.
No.
What's it like to be coaching up your opponent as the match is going on?
It's fun because it reminds me of when I started fencing and how people who had been fencing for years and years and years took the time to help me.
I'm gonna track you, and you got me.
And introduce me to the sport, and that's how you really learn to love the sport.
Don't stop. No. Oh man.
That was really good though.
Thanks. Knowing that the history of this gym has Olympians, collegiate athletes, people who are aspiring to be Olympians, this is something that is an honor to be a part of. Oh, that's side step, baby. That's a good side step.
Thank you.
That's a good side step. To be taught from Michaela, she taught me a lot today. She taught me the old-fashioned way by kicking my butt, but it was cool just to learn.
It is such a huge honor, not just to like be here and to introduce someone to the sport, but also to grow the sport as well. The more eyes we get from people who watch other sports and they see that fencing is just as exciting, just as fun, just as intriguing, just as rules-oriented, and has the same kind of energy to it, I really think that's going to be able to grow our sport as well. So now we salute.
How you
salute? We salute right here.
Do it.
We just go 1, 1, and then we shake with our, I know it's a little, our non-glove hand.
Got you.
It was great fencing with you.
You as well.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us for the News 4 Rundown tonight. The NBA on NBC is coming your way next. Stay tuned for the showdown between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Milwaukee Bucks. And then, of course, stick around because after the game, Jim and I are going to get you all caught up on today's big stories tonight on News 4 at 11. Stay warm out there, and we'll see you back here tonight. Good night, everybody.